Picchu jingๆ
เ
That's cool. Oh, and a waterfall too. So how much higher up from the river is Machu Picchu, you said?
400.
400 meters.
400 meters, yeah.
What?
Is it better to do on a containing wall. They are willing to expand the urban capacity of Machu Picchu and put more houses on this side. But have a look at that size of the stones that these people have been moving at. Just the
Slippery rocks.
caballo. Inca Picchu mountain. And now put in your mind this, that all of this area where Machu Picchu is built, it used to be as high as that one and even higher than that. We'll see later on. A while ago there was a earthquake and the fault lines got active, and there is one in between Machu Picchu town and that mountain, Machu Picchu town and the mountain we have behind of us, and that fault lines got active that all of this area started sinking 600 meters.
Oh, so it used to be like up there.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
We're talking about a while ago, right? Over hundreds of years ago.
Was that
Not to say a million.
that was after the city? After
Oh yeah, well, more than over a million of years.
Oh, okay.
So the reason why this section looks hilly is because the earthquake that happened in this place, that also the Inca people were convinced that they can put something on the back of this place, right? Nothing else is like this.
Oh, shit.
What would be if Machu Picchu was built on the flat land? Not as impressive. the lip of the upper lip of the llama is split too. That allows the animal to grab a good bunch of grass without getting hurt. So 2000. Yeah, the ones that seen these stones with the word on S, with that carving on it, it's actually one of the works they were planning on doing to rebuild the older water canal. Listen to how water runs through this system of water fountains. And it's only here. And altogether, we have 16 of those water fountains. If you live on the opposite side, if you live on top, if you live here in the middle, everybody has to come with their containers, for their containers, and fill up those containers here. This is the system of water that they have, the tap system, we can call it like this. So that 350 to 400 population of Machu Picchu, got the water from here. Now, there is a wall here that they knocked down. This place was restricted that time. Just one of the living things in this place. And now we start exploring Royalton, Temple of the Sun. Later on we'll see the House of the Priest. These are ready to see how, well, that's just the name, right? Places where they kept the mummified bodies. Because they never buried them. mummified bodies around the main square, and those bodies were from the older kings, and they could see the first mummified body or the first king mummified body all the way to the last one. And while the people were carrying this mummified body on kind of stretchers, the other ones were throwing red flowers. So they couldn't be buried. They were never buried. They just got places like this, nicely ornamented, good architecture, whereabouts they can put the body and all the offerings that whoever wants to offer something will be able to leave it right there. When Machu Picchu is abandoned, the first thing that they will take as they leave this place, obviously, will be the leader's body. Excavating the place has not been found anything. It was empty. So that's what they understand. They abandoned Machu Picchu. They have to leave this place, but they cannot leave without most important things. Machu Picchu was found by 1912, officially revealed to the world at that time. But doesn't mean that since we found it, we were taking care of it. There's names that have been carved right there. This is Jesus and Juan, Valverde Santillana, 1920. Looters that came, no one was taking care of Machu Picchu. They could excavate this place, and there was found something they took. But check on this, facing the east, right? There's no remains of stones that they used to close this, so it's not a tomb. We just call it royal tomb. Now, and look at what we have on top. The quality of that architecture that we see on top. This is in Cusco, this is in the Secret Valley, here in Machu Picchu. Some of those buildings that was very fine quality. Let's get on that course. Please, turn around and take a look at this structure. Look at that. This is cool. Very cool at the same time. First of all, it's one of the few structures that will have that curved shape. Right? And you can understand now why Sun Gate or the Sun Gate. If you imagine that the sun is rising from that side and the sunbeam gets through that notch and later on gets through that window, and part of the dead rock, it's actually nicely carved as an altar so the sunlight hits it. But then there is the window, and it's facing that side. So December and then June. December and June. We are very close. So December and June, right? Remember, it's the opposite. The windows are perfectly aligned with the solstices. For about a week, you can see how the sun comes from the mountains and the sunbeam gets through the window. But it's just because the shape of the wall. They could do the same with this, but it's impossible to do. It's impossible. It will never happen on this straight wall. So they understood. Anthropology says that this human being also is trying to understand there is a movement like that, and that's why they were able to align. It's not about rotation translation. They're understanding. Right? The coolest thing. Take a look at the wall, the corner. You see how much this one is leaning? Usually those are leaning like 3-5 degrees. But take a look at that one, it's much more. Remember that the leaning walls is because of the strength the wall gets when there's an earthquake.
En Puerto Rico no saben.
That wall is
Sí,
leaning
pues,
13.5 degrees.
no está como que
You just said
en nuestra consideración.
we are close to the equator. We actually are 13.5 degrees away from the equator, exactly same, no, like the wall. Coincidence? Too precise? They already got the knowledge. Now, Green Mountains surrounding Machu Picchu. Look at the beautiful green mountain. Surrounding this section of the terraces that all the time stand with that stone color, and later on these homes were plastered, covered with clay, the inside and the outside. So it didn't look like this. Even better, got that reddish color of clay. But in the middle, a temple of the sun, house of the prison, house of the king, standing with its stone color. Right? The colors of Machu Picchu have changed, and the reason why the difference in this is because quality of architecture shows position in color like that, shows power, and describes how important the place could be. I was just telling to, I think, Ryan, gold, silver doesn't have that value that we have in these days. You cannot prove. You got to prove with the quality of architecture of your house that you have higher social status. So that's the reason why those stone structures were visible at that time. Right? And let's go around here. All the plaster from this wall. Soil and lime. Look, that shows us, as the time is passing by and the rain is washing all of this, all the plaster, it blocked, vegetation blocked these holes, and it accumulated here. This is the remains of that. It was all over this place. It was the same on the opposite side. Right? And we have two areas where they got clay from. One of them is actually whereabouts we saw the big stone, remember, on the way down, and another one in the lower part. So they have everything around here. They didn't have to go that far to look for the materials they need. The only thing that they have to go far in altitude as well is straw for the thatch roofs. That's the only thing they don't have in this area. No. That's really good. You're good there, you're good there. We miss anybody? Rudy? Okay. It's just great the amount of stones that these people are building. So, knowing that, I can imagine how many boulders was found all over they have to break down. Right? As big as those ones that we can see where the building was anchored. Take a look at that, the bottom bit, you see? The bottom, the holes right there. How do you think this could work with the stones sticking out of the wall? Analysis of our anthropologists, they could understand this. 14th of February, by this hemisphere, by this latitude, sun is reaching its nadir point, the lowest point. At that time, sunlight hits those, and by midday, the prediction of the shadow will reach the holes. It's an astronomical observatory. Obviously, they didn't know it's Valentine's Day, but it's just a reference we have, right? So around that time that you can see, it's not just one day, it's a few days that you see that. The tool that I pointed out before, the pyramidal shaped structure, remember, and I said that that was an astronomical observatory, that was mainly to see when the sun reaches its nadir point, that actually happens in October, 12th and 13th of October. No pollution of shadow at all. This hemisphere, at this latitude. Right? Obviously it changes up to whereabouts you are on the Earth. So, religious place, astronomical observatory. This one is House of the Priest. It's clearly a home. Quality of architecture. This is the classic, where the stones don't have any mortar. And the way of linking those is by making one side concave and the other one convex. Without using any kind of mortar, cement or anything like that. And the anthropological explanation is that these indigenous people, they looked at their skeleton and they understood how the bones are linked, and that's how they came with this type of architecture. But it takes a while, it takes time, it takes effort, so only the important people will have homes built with that quality of architecture. Take a look at this. You have to see the holes on the sides. See? And the stone is sticking out of on top of the lintel, doorway lintel. It's a ring stone. So that's the axis, but it was restricted. These bar holes and the ring stone are remains of the locking system that they had by that time. There is a hypothetical description that National Geographic made with pieces of wood. We may not may not use wood. Possibly bamboo. We have a type of bamboo that is very strong and very light, so maybe bamboo. But the way of locking it is by placing one stick in a horizontal way and one more vertical way. Right? The curiosity of this is that you cannot lock it from outside. You have to lock it from the inside. You cannot open it from the outside. You have to open it from the interior side. So always somebody has to be there, or here. Right? Well, the regular houses didn't have doors for blankets. And possibly because of the plaster on the walls of this, with decoration, it looks very nice. But facing the east, plenty of light. High priest, his relatives. Those are not homes. Those are storages. Those two buildings now. Right? So it's not that large a family. It's small. Yeah. Well, let's get out of this place and go to the political area of mine. House of the Priest, and see where it's difference in between this and this. This is a containing wall. On top of this containing wall, there is running the water canal. That canal brings water from Machu Picchu mountain, right? And it has 749 meters of distance. The curious thing about that is not the distance, is that the whole way, the degree is, the steep, what's it called? Is it like
the grade?
The slope, sorry, thank you. The slope is only 3 degrees. The whole way, though, from the beginning all the way here. So never water runs that fast. That damages the wall or the water canal. Right. Now it's not running because there was a rock slide somewhere. Well, turn around please. Have a look at the time. The description we have is that Machu Picchu was built in about 50 years. Carbonation of Machu Picchu, of the lower part of Machu Picchu, it dated 1440s. This area dated 1450s. It took them about 50 years to build it. 50 years is different generations, up to 3 generations. May not sound much, but it's a lot of time for that time when the human being doesn't live that long. Right? So, take a look at this. The size of the stone, the style of carving the wall. Each stone is kind of padded, high relief, they call it. Take a look at these ones. The stones are getting much bigger. Have a look at finally this portion of the wall. The stones are smaller but more rectangular. There's three different ways how these people have been carving the stone, which means the three different generations that have been building Machu Picchu. Remember what happened by 1490s? Yeah, Columbus. When Columbus was touching land, also the nobility of Machu Picchu was getting power. But since that time until 1520s, is that there was a lot of power in Machu Picchu, because in 1520 civil war broke out and the chaos started. Right? Slowly, but it got worse every time. All right, let's go after that. Take a look at this. We can see a little bit of the reconstruction that they made in Machu Picchu, but it is called experimental archaeology. This roof is placed there, a way to protect this area, but also to makes us understand how the roofs were anchored by the wall. Take a look at this, the pegs sticking out, with the vines tied to the wooden structure of the roof. That's the way. So if you see these kind of stones sticking out like this, you know how it was used at that time. Yeah. So, as this is the continuing wall where the canal runs, this will be the first water fountain privileged. That group of family, people, together with the ones that live on this side, they are the ones, the only ones that can drink water, or the first that can drink water out of this fountain. Same water runs underground here and goes to the next one and the next one and the next one, and altogether 16 of those. Let's get now cleansing. todo parece la primera gran de Machu Picchu. Welcome in the area well known as Inca House. Oh my God, but one picture that is it's similar to the ones we've seen by the Temple of the Sun. And here, King's Room. Let's have a look at this. Let's have a look of how this nobility is to look like. Please, after you. After you. And I want you to stand next to me. Take a look at us. The size. Indigenous people here in Machu Picchu. Skeletons found. Tallest male 1.65 and 1.67. But it looks like the houses were designed for tall people like Nathan. But they were not tall. So this is basically designed to show power still. Female. Tallest or shortest adult female. 1.45. Still, or not that tall. Just wanted them to know how tall we were. King's room. King's bed. Like that. He was not tall. It's just that, long enough for one, for two, for three. Remember, the king has many. Maybe some bamboo, some alpaca, fiber, or alpaca blankets, right? Make it exclusive. Curiosity, in one of the remains, it's called Temple of the Virgins of the Sun in Cusco, they found pieces of textiles because this group of women were the only ones making the clothing for nobility. Those pieces of textiles were taken to a laboratory and they found alpaca, vicuña, and the fiber, curiosity, of the cousin of the vampire bat we have here. It's about this size. How much fiber you can get on. And remember now the woman using the spindle in the community, she has to put in the alpaca fiber, the fiber of the cousin of the vampire bat. Right there. That fancy was the nobility by that time. Take a look at this, the yellowish color. The yellowish color is the remains of the plaster that they have inside of this. I just said that the walls have to be visible, but not the inside. The inside, to get it warmer, it was plaster. The outside, to show power, they never plastered. Right? Have a look at this. It's facing north. There's no way to get light. These windows are not made for light or to stick your head out. It's made for ventilation. There is a ceiling here, so you storage for anything, text, anything. Ventilation of that place. There is this narrow axis, and on that side, at that corner, there is a hole and a canal as well that runs under the wall. When you pour water, and the rain runs through. So it was believed that that was the toilet of the king. May have been a shower, but never a toilet. They didn't have that system. In Ollantaytambo, I mentioned to you that the farming land is whereabouts they eat, rot their waste. But imagine here, he's the leader. Huh? Remember what I said? Pachacuti, the guy that sent to build Machu Picchu as his private residence, he was dead when they finished the works. Just his mummified body was brought. So someone else, the next one in line, the representative, right? Not the actual king of the kingdom, someone that represents Pachacuti has been living in this area. And that someone got that privilege to have a bathroom right there. But how about the way how these people have treated their waste plates? Ash to cover them. And later on, take it to the farming land. When excavating at the farming terraces to find, soil and get the pollen out, they also found in many of those solid pollen. So these whereabouts they took. In case of a nobility group, someone else will be in charge of taking it. And that someone else we're leaving behind of this building here. We will see the quality of the houses is different. Take a look at these lines and the letters and the numbers on it. Machu Picchu is 30% restored, 70% original. But restoration doesn't mean reconstruction. In the pictures of National Geographic expedition, roots of trees actually are growing through the walls. So at times they got to remove some of those stones, bring the roots out, and the reason of the numbers is to put it back on the same place. Right? So still, just 70% is restored. Right.
On my left and right hand side, we have three walls with open facades.
That is nicely carved, and they think this was in process of carving. The idea is that this gets deeper and they could put a bit more water and see the reflection of the sky in it, not just the day, but the night, and see how bright the stars are. We are by the nobility house, so he must have his own tool right there. But it's in process of carving. We also have other people that try to understand this, saying that this is the alpaca body, this is the neck, and that's the head of the alpaca. Earlier, we have someone saying that's the head of a toucan. But what is for sure is that they were still carving this. Take a look at this. It's an altar. We've seen one in Sayacumarca yesterday, and we visited this place. Facing the east still, any religious stuff. Right? There is the kitchen. I'm saying wrong. That's children's room. There is a kitchen on that side. And they call it like that because the remains of fire that they found. Curiosity though, when they excavated there, they excavated here, they excavated on that side, they excavated here, they excavated there. In every single place they found remains of fire. But it was much more clear that that was a kitchen because everything else that they found with it. But also they understood when these people abandoned Machu Picchu, they burned, they set fire to the whole structure. Machu Picchu was on fire. Why? Rebellion, being attacked. But all the structure, the wooden structure, thatch roofs, got on fire. So let's get through this one. Oh wow, he's there. Look on the sides of the wall and see all of these stones are loose. Only this side of the wall is nicely built, carved each of the stones, but everything else is just the filling they made in between this wall together with this containing wall here. They understood this. Originally, this house we have here, was standing on top of this wall. Perhaps it was too tall. They moved some meters away from its original design, and they added this containing wall to provide security. And in between this, we can see that there is 3 meters of loose stone, and this last layer of 30 centimeters, it's a mix of clay, sand, lime, and regular soil. But if rain or water filters through this, even that it has clay, there is no mortar in between. Just loose stones put together. Rainwater can still run through. But if it's not enough, the curiosity of this, my back's hurting too. Oh, the curiosity of this is that what we see here is all over Machu Picchu, and the size of Machu Picchu urban area is 1.1 square mile. The size of the town is 1 square mile, and that square mile is like this, the construction. This is what is 60% of Machu Picchu. Right? A lot of work that these people have done to get ready the foundation of Machu Picchu. They left it like this so we can see a little bit more of how is the foundation of Machu Picchu. Turn around and take a look at this tree. For a reason, it's standing on its own. Nobody wants to cut it off. Well, Machu Picchu excavations by the national government started by the 60s. And in the 70s, there was one of the archaeologists, Manuel Chavez, who was the director of Machu Picchu Park. And in a way, there was already here, and there's some people, but he wanted to make it more attractive. So what he did is he brought farmers, allowed the farmers to weave textiles so the farmers can sell their goods. And remember how the women in the community, they have to anchor their looms to know something. You could see, you can imagine a group of farmers, right? Using their looms and weaving right there. But these farmers brought a dead piece of wood at the beginning, and you can see what's the height. It's 4 meters. That piece of wood that as the time was passing by, it was not dead at all, it grew back. As the time was passing by, farmers, vendors in Machu Picchu was prohibited, they were kicked out. But the tree grew back. And in 1996, they wanted to know if the roots of the tree will make a damage on the wall we see behind the tree. At that year, at that excavation, the most important thing that we have in these days was found. Similar to how deep this one is, they were digging, removing the stones, and at 1 meter, 0.63 centimeters, under one stone, they found a golden piece, a bracelet that the quality was 16 carats. The only single piece of gold underground. Is there more underground? Who knows? Could be. But why would you find one single piece of gold underground? Is that an offering? Nothing else around it. Was that an accident? Somebody dropped accidentally that bracelet? What is that? But is the evidence that there was gold as well in Machu Picchu. So that piece of gold is kept in a museum that we have down in town. National Geographic expedition, to these days, the only piece of gold that has been found here in Machu Picchu. Look at your faces. We're exhausted. I wonder if it's because of the Inca trip. But I know what you need.
The gold bracelet?
Yeah, more stairs.
Yeah, more stairs. That will energize us. Let's go. Let's have a look at the window we have here. I said that that window on the left, that was facing winter solstice, right? But this one is facing north. What we have on the north, that's the mountain called Machu Picchu. We believe that. It must be the mountain, you know, something on it, mysterious, the views on the mountain, all that. No, until somebody went on his computer and using the software, they went back to 1500s and tried to see what these people could see from the interior side. And what they could see by September, nowadays still possible, but not through the window, now it's above, reveal the walls, is Seven Sisters constellation, which in the cosmovision of the countryside people, whenever they see Seven Sisters constellation above the horizon, is announcing the arrival of the rain. And this civilization based their calendar on farming. So they were observing Southern Cross right on top of Machu Picchu mountain, harvest season. Seven Sisters. No, we call it Pleiades, sowing season. That was their calendar. They don't go by days, by weeks, by months. 360 degrees, 65 days. No, they go by seasons. They go by the solstices. Farming culture. The most accurate calendar they could have. Cosmos. Let's go.
Ellos van a dar la vuelta, ¿sí? Van a bajar por acá y van a volver a entrar por acá. O entran por encima.
No, entran por aquí y dan la vuelta aquí. Por aquí.
On aurait fait ça juste pour 2 minutes.
I know what your favorite part is.
What have you with Machu Picchu mountains in the back?
Yeah.
When coming down to the Sun Gate, there was a portion of a wall, so that's built by the last generation here in Machu Picchu. And actually, the building is not fully built. Where you see the people in the window, there is a portion of the wall that they were still carving the stones to put it one on top of another one. Right? But it's through that window that something went on. We found in front of that wall, where you see this farming terrace, thousands and thousands of broken pottery. Mr. Inca found it. I think we found it at the very beginning. They didn't know what to do with that. They just put it back in the same place. But in 2001, they tried to understand them better. They brought all of these pieces together. They tried to put them, and it was big pottery bowls, nicely decorated. And they understood that somebody was throwing them by the way. Not someone. Some group of people actually got mad. Must be the same ones that set fire to the heat of Machu Picchu. Which means that the last days of Machu Picchu, it was a chaos once more, right before they abandoned. Is that a rebellion? There is a theory that talks about the oppressed groups of Machu Picchu, that as the civil war broke up, the first group left, the second group left, the third group left, Cusco lost one, lost two, lost three, Cusco lost the king. And these people that left never come back to Machu Picchu. So, on the upper part, they found skeletons of people that got deformation of their skulls. It only happens in the south. They were not regular citizens. They were that oppressed group. That understanding that Machu Picchu doesn't have power anymore, the Inca civilization is collapsing, they rebel against set fire to Machu Picchu and abandoned. They were brought from what is now Bolivia as potters. And possibly that's the reason why they themselves brought all the pottery that was made by them. So, a little bit of chaos in Machu Picchu in its last days. Alright. Let's get now in the houses of the regular inhabitants. Restaurant outside. It's on the ground.
Ooh.
come? How did you come?
The purpose or the reason why they built the train tracks. The project of the train tracks is not important. Until 1905, we didn't know about it.
What do you think these things are? Oh.
Like these are the regular homes. But something to understand, they don't have much furniture. Those are shock absorbers, but used as shelves too. Those are also supports that they could put things hanging on it. It's not part of the ceiling of the second level structure. No, just for hanging things there. Maybe there are tools, maybe there are alpaca textiles, any of the tools that these people have. Take a look at this doorway lintel made of wood. Obviously, that's a reconstruction. Reconstruction because they found the remains of wood. So, as these are the regular citizens, there may not have been that many long stones that they can use. And you can see the quality of architecture. It's random stones that they carve a little bit, but they still use most. Right?
The citizens build their own homes, or would they like hire someone to build them?
No, they let them build their own.
Okay.
So this is the first area built by 1440s. And in this area, there has not been found skeletons. The skeletons were found on the upper and on the lower part of this place.
1948 is when they
174 skeletons. And the conclusion of 2003 is that none of them, the skeletons that they found here, were regular citizens of Machu Picchu. All of these people found here in Machu Picchu skeletons, household servants. The funeral, the burial place has no ornamentation at all. Very poor ornamentation. And they also know because in between the 174 skeletons they found, 72 of those got the deformation on their scalp. One, elongated. The other one, flat. The other type of deformation is bulky sides, placing one horizontal rope around and one through the middle, so just the sides will grow bulky. And all of this happened since they were kids. Inca society doesn't have that deformation on the scalp. But they also have a way how they can easily be recognized as nobility. Wearing heavy earrings that made the deformation of their earlobes that were reaching the shoulder. That's Inca society. Well, the others,
the earrings would reach the shoulder.
yeah, heavy earrings that pull down their earlobes. As the time passed by, yeah, well, this deformation on the scalp belongs to the household servants, people that were brought from different places. They are not citizens, they got to serve, they are oppressed groups, they are not slaves. And we know whereabouts they were coming from. The elongated ones, they did it that in what is now Bolivia. And the reason why they did that is because the shape of the mountain, the shape of the volcano, or the glacier that for them was important. The ones that got the back of the skull, it was from babies. They made the baby sleep on a piece of wood. So it will be on purpose to be recognized as a nobility among them. And they were coming from the central part of the Andes, and finally the last ones from the north. So the skeletons found here, it just belongs to household servants. And the conclusion of this anthropologist, John Reinhardt, his name, an expeditioner from National Geographic, is that Machu Picchu was residence of the king Pachacuti. While he was here, right, or his mummified, yes, people were also here, his family relatives. But this is not where they live permanently. They have a housing use. They take the mummified body, and the ones that only stay here are household servants making the maintenance of this place, taking care of this place. We call it summer house. Yeah, it's the way. Let's go. Just this group of people living here, there is the other one, lower flats, right? So to avoid anyone else coming in. You can understand why regular citizens still have privilege. Privilege is to right here. This could have been playground of their kids. This was, though, in a way, the temple that they have. Even that nowadays we have temple of the sun, temple of the moon. That's just the modern way to understand these religious places. But doesn't mean that rituals were carried out inside of any of those places. Where about the rituals were made is here. These are viewing terraces, not for agriculture at all. That is the area where the dancers or anybody else has performed something inside in that place. And the nobility group will be on top of this pyramid next to the astronomical observatory. In Cusco, we still have sun's festivity. We still have that celebration. Right, June 24th. In the morning, they greet the sun with dances. As the time is passing by, they walk from one place to another place, and finally they get to Sacsayhuaman, the place where we stopped, where we looked from Christ the Redeemer that has the huge stones. In that flat area, they set up kind of a pyramid with the top flat. And then representatives of the nations, 4 nations of the sun, high priest, all of that are doing different things, dancers as well. And part of that ritual is the sacrifice of a lamb. Remember, in my childhood, they actually made it. They actually opened the llama and got the heart, and with all the blood, they were showing it, they were making it real. Nowadays, because animal abuse and all of that, they get a little bit of watercolor and I'm not sure if it's plastic still. So yeah, that's still the way, possibly how they have done, because that festivity that we celebrate in Cusco is based on anthropological studies on how possibly it was done in Inca times. A market, it happened here. Here in the beautiful Pacas, it happened here. So any public activity, this is the open place, the square of Machu Picchu. And you can easily hear what they are talking. Whoever was talking to them from the top, everybody could listen. Everybody could hear that. It's acoustic enough, this place. Yeah. Let's go, let's go. Nada más the closest we could be to see Waina Picchu Mountain. Now that the cloud is not blocking the view, you can clearly notice there is containing walls on top of that place. And on the left there is this wall that it's a food storage house. What was going to be this place? It's going to be another tambo. Remember what is tambo? We've been to Ollantay Tambo and we saw on the steep side of the mountain these food storage houses. Is that the idea? To put several of those food storage houses because the place is well ventilated? On the top, where I see people, you see people on the very top. There is blocks, big blocks, but they are carving. They were carving those. Getting ready, these big blocks to assemble together, build something on top, another religious place or something. It's unfinished. Military place, because it gets you the view of the whole valley, 360 degrees view. Religious place, because of the big blocks they are carving, or another system of food storage house. Right? One of them. Take a look of how large this room is here. See how much chances you have to come in or out of this room. Right? Surely public use, but for what? That's a workshop. Excavating underground, they found some broken pottery, they found llama hip bones. So that's what they were using the bone for, as a spatula to process clay. They also found long femurs of llama, which we've seen in the community of women using to make the textiles tighter. Right? So a workshop, but at the same time, a school. In time of kingdoms, that happens in most of the places, nobility people can educate their kids. The regular citizens, kids are educated in the places where the parents were. They could be here learning about the process of all of that, or they could be playing on that side, or the playground that we have on the side. But in times of agriculture, that Machu Picchu was built in about 50 years, and every time, every dry season, about 1,000 people move to this place to build. There's enough of this to, hold that big number of people, and especially all of these houses here and here, and the ones we are passing by now are only food storage houses. To store enough food to feed whoever is coming to work in Machu Picchu. Please have a look at this mountain. That one is called Washi. That one is called Huayna Picchu. We know that one. This one is called Machu Picchu. And they went up to the top of each of those mountains, included this one, to get the view of Machu Picchu, to see the area whereabouts they were going to build it. They don't have paper. They use models made on clay, low scale, to design. But they have to see it in the distance, right? They cannot take pictures. So on top of this, they always found some skeletons, remains of basic architecture, the same one on top. So possibly the basic ones that people have used will spend some time. And it's not like one time. It's not like one season. How many seasons they have been there in one dry season, in one rainy season? Looking at how the weather behaves, right? If you see all of these houses are facing east, it's well designed this town. Now once more, the line on that side, you see it? Remember that was found with LiDAR technology? That is a trail with steep steps. It's not going straight up to the top, but it's going right, then left. But it's a pilgrimage that the actual citizens were making to the top of the mountain called Yanani. People were coming here, and these people also making a pilgrimage, which is the tallest peak on that chain of mountains. We don't see it. Cloud is blocking. You see this line? You see this trail?
Oh, like that little white bit in it?
Yeah. Just that portion was, they did cut the
What about
vegetation.
that one?
That one. This portion.
Oh, okay.
The white thing is just water. outside was plaster. The inside was also plaster, but the plaster that they have inside, they actually burn it. They apply fire to it, so whatever insect or bacteria can be sterilized. But they found one thing, like in the other room, they found remains of fire here as well. Not just that, food was burned too. Why would you burn food? They wonder. So, yeah. So we have another description of Machu Picchu of the last days. Another theory that is related with the last king. Remember that after the 500 kids, or the guy who white the two of his kids were fighting each other. And after these two kids, the next king was Manco Inca. And the Spanish called rule with him, and he's the ones that rebel against the Spanish. According to that description, Manco Inca fighting the Spanish, willing to have Cusco back, and the control lost. And he doesn't want the Spanish to still come and capture them. He didn't explore this valley. Manco Inca left by another valley, but he sent messages, and one of the messages was clear: abandon those places. But make sure those are not accessible. Set fire, take whatever you could. Whatever you cannot, just burn it, destroy it, make it useless. There is no food, there is no shelter. They won't use this place. There is one trail that goes down this way. Another one that goes here. Another one that we will see later on. There is actually 3 trails that you can take from here to go down to that side. Another 3 trails to go down to the opposite side. And then this one, the ones we took, and one more. Altogether, 8 different trails you can take. But in any of these sites, there is remains of a bridge. And usually they have built bridges. They destroyed it. They destroyed the axis on purpose. The purpose is to make sure they don't use it as a fortress. In that case, the last days of Machu Picchu is when the inhabitants, or when the Spanish were already around here. And a part of their war strategy, set fire. Exhausted, but did you see these stairs? I'll take you inside of a cave. That cave is 12 meters long. 12 meters long, right? That building, it's a full storage house. But inside of the cave, there was found 3 skeletons. One of them was from a juvenile. So, even that there is food here, still, whatever cave was used as a good grave. They didn't find skeletons in one single place. They found it everywhere in the surrounding areas of Machu Picchu. Right? And in between that 74 skeletons, they took 32 individuals and let their teeth out. Bring something out of the teeth. And they tried with the DNA or something. These 32 individuals were coming from Brazil, Uruguay, Ecuador and Colombia. That far that they were brought. Brought for what? Maybe because of their skills, maybe because of a trading, program, or just because of punishment. The skeletons are showing a little bit of physical damage. A couple of them got the damage on the femur, fracture, well, remains of that, scar that they can find. Some of them will have osteoarthritis on the wrist, from dragging things, from working, from living, from potting, whatever. But it was not enough to be called builders of Machu Picchu. Like on the first day, that the body was seriously damaged. So they are only household servants. Once more, they confirm that they were not building Machu Picchu at all. On the ribs, they found remains of the infection that in 1915 the osteologists said syphilis. And somehow, by that time, they believed that syphilis was here. Right? Now we know that syphilis came to here. Right? So this remains of infection is actually tuberculosis. These people struggle with tuberculosis. Not everybody, some of them skeletons. And today it's still a struggle. Tuberculosis. One of the main health problems that these people have, teeth. Perhaps all the consumption of the corn and all of that, right? And the drink as well. They brought a piece of bone from the jaw to the laboratory, broke it, and they found that the base of their diet was corn. And in some other parts of the bone, they found also corn. And at one point, they believed that that was the only thing these people consumed. But remember the porters drink? The porters, they don't drink water. They drink that corn beer. That's part of the tradition. On the countryside, still in these days, they drink corn beer. At that time, in this place, when working, they also drink. It was not that they just consumed corn. It was because of the beer they were drinking as well. The oldest that they found in Machu Picchu is 50 plus. That's something else. 50 plus? Wow. But it seems like Europe just got to 30 and 40 and 50 plus here. Good food, then less interaction with other people, so not so many diseases. The youngest that I found, 6 months gestation. They found some of recent born as well. That was their plan. So the actual skeletons of Machu Picchu, artifacts of Machu Picchu. If anybody's interested, we have a Machu Picchu museum. Just type it there, Google it. It's near the main square. If you're interested on a little bit more of Machu Picchu, you will see even better. The elongated skull, you will see it in that place too. A couple of tools that these people were processing metal here because they have mining nearby, something like 10 kilometers away. There is the remains of an older silver mine as well. So yeah, they were making jewelry in Machu Picchu, they were making tools in Machu Picchu. All of this is found by Machu Picchu Museum. Right? That's it. At this point, you have questions? We still have one more place. Is one of the few birds that can get all the way up to 7,000 meters. Condor, they're there in their distribution. It wasn't about, they never were shaped. Condor is only this because they understand that condor takes off and gets high enough. Right? That they get together with the sun, with the moon, stars, the rainbow. So they want to send messengers, a message, I mean, not letters or anything like that, offerings. In that way is that we will see a corner here whereabouts that exactly happen. People place their offerings to send it to the spirit beings.
After that, good job. Esa fue la siguiente.
This one was the same. This one got a roof as well. So those two are blocking sunlight. But this gap lets sunlight get through only in June. Only in June. So it gets through this way and shines all over this place. And what we have here is the head of the condor. The wings of the condor. The condor is raising fly. It's facing east. That's why they consider it as a messenger. And on the wings, there we have gaps where they can put offerings. And what was found inside of the cave is guinea pig bones. Inside of this house, guinea pig poop. Kind of makes sense. When they brought to the laboratory these bones, there was applied fire. So it was not the guinea pig itself, like raw meat or killed here or something like that. They roasted it and they put meals right there. That's the kind of offerings they were sending. And these two stones are representing the collar, but the collar has around the neck, white feathers. Yeah. So if you look, the bill is pointing to the ground, and there's little holes on the sides that are making the eyes. You see it? Head, wings. Not that we can find perfection. It's not about art, it's about the beliefs that they have. And with this, I'd like to say to those exhausted faces, we made it! We did finish Machu Picchu exploration already. Let's get wasted.
The water bottle's still up inside, which means I don't know if it has the water.